Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. In implementation of an agreement between President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and Russian President Vladimir Putin, Minister of Culture Ines Abdeldayem and Russia's Deputy Minister of Culture Olga Yarilova on Friday launched the Year of Humanitarian Exchange between Egypt and Russia, and the launch event took place at the Cairo Opera House. These events actually continue through seminars, book fairs, plastic arts and heritage crafts, and the impact of Russian literature on Egyptian literature, with an exchange of artistic teams between the two countries, in addition to issuing a group of translators, translations from Russian into Arabic and vice versa. Now, in order to shed more light on this interesting topic, we're very much delighted to have with us Engineer Mustafa Waly, member of the Egyptian European Council. Good morning to you, Engineer Waly.
Good morning, thank you.
Now, to start with, could you shed more light on Egyptian-Russian relations in general?
If we talk about this, first of all, thank you very much for having me today, talking about this cultural event and this cultural phenomenon. Actually, when we look at the relation between Egypt and Russia, it goes for, it's very fascinating, because there were some kind of cooperation in the cultural field now, specifically, let's say in the 19th century, with very big names and well-known names, renowned names in the Egyptian cultural life, by the way, and the religious life and political even by that time. And it kept going on through these days up till now, with ups and downs, little downs, but generally, you know, it's people, so the people kept very good relations so far in all aspects. That's to put it in a nutshell, in a sense. And that's
yes. And those ties developed in so many aspects, especially, as you kindly mentioned, the cultural domain. With exchange, I remember in the 60s there was a huge exchange between Egyptian and Russian students. So many Egyptian students traveled to the Soviet Union back then to study various sciences, and also in literature and in translation. So many Russian literary works have been translated into Arabic, and the other way around as well. Would you shed more light on the development of cultural ties between Egypt and Russia? Yeah,
this, in a sense, I dare say that I was one of the people whom his cultural background was built up across this time, because it goes through the 50s, let's say from the mid-50s up till now, and so my co-generations in general. And it is a real fact what you are saying, the 60s, when it comes to the specific relation between Egyptian people at large and the Russian people at large. You know, in this case, I could say with complete belief that it is true that the cultural ties is always very, very binding. It's always, it lives more. It lives the culture.
Peoples together.
Yes, and it lives more. It can sustain. It can stand the ups and downs of the normal, you know, coincidence of life. You know, especially when it comes to different nations, different people across the globe. That always remains. When it comes to this Russia, let's say to the Russian culture, you know, we talk Russian now, you know. There is a proverb, it's not mine, but I believe in it. It says that you can't call somebody cultured unless he must have known, of course, Leo Tolstoy, Pushkin, Chekhov, Gogol, and all this, because what these people as names have produced to the human culture in general have been across the world, you know, translated across the world, and those even who have been transcribed into theater and into movies, especially War and Peace. So it shows you that the Russian culture is a dominant one, in a sense, with all respect to all other cultures, but the exchange, you find it everywhere. I could say that I witnessed this myself. Most my readings, when I was able to go back reading what I read in Arabic about these big names, those masters of literature, Russian masters of literature. I read it in English, you know, and very, very, very well-known printing house products. And so I'm telling you this because this is well-known fact. I'm not talking even about me. I'm talking about what was going on even up till this moment.
Yes.
So I really agree with you, or I would like to confirm that it's a cultural relation always lives longer, and it goes deep in the heart and mind of people. That's
Yes.
it.
Sir, the importance of launching the year of humanitarian exchange between Egypt and Russia. How do you see the importance of launching such an initiative in further fostering all what you have said?
First of all, the description of this event, of this year event, humanitarian. Yeah, that's fantastic. I think, to me, I should say, at least for me, I haven't seen such expression describing a general event or a year extended event under this humanitarian exchange, because you always say cultural exchange, you know, training programs exchange, you can name it, but this, to have it all like that, that's very clever. I have to show my admiration for those who selected this. I mean it. It's new. It's really new. I hope you share me this.
Yes, of course, because
the humanitarian exchange,
yes, it touches upon the
everything,
core.
And the core of, as you say. Yes. I agree with you.
Sir, how would that help in boosting friendly ties between the two nations? Because we're talking about the Egyptian and Russian peoples, apart from all the official distinguished relations between Egypt and Russia.
Of course, yes.
But the Egyptian and Russian peoples, they have also distinguished relations extending in various fields, even in sports. During the World Cup, so many Egyptians were keen to not only cheer for their team, but also explore Russian cities and explore Russian cultures. So the importance of boosting the friendly ties between the two nations.
A year long with, I read what was about all this, and I know that it will be too many events on all walks of life, as they say, in sports, in theater, in culture, even in dancing, folkloric dancing, of course, and the very famous Russian, brand of ballet, of course, plus a lot of other, Russian treasuries when it comes to the big names of music, like Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff, and all these big names, These things, when you have it on under this umbrella, so you will see people going directly and intentionally to enjoy this. That in itself is people going by themselves to enjoy an event. It's not impossible, it's just something like that. So some will revive their memories, some will learn from it, and at the end, when we talk about culture again, these are cultural altogether, even when it comes to sports, for example. Of course, the scientific side is always there, was always and still, and we have even right now this big project of our Daba project for nuclear reactor, for the nuclear power plant. So in general, let's get moving. We can have this with anybody who is friendly with us. We can have this. But specifically with Russia, especially in this time, that proves again that the proximity of the feelings of people get them sometimes to them. And there is proximity between us as heritage, as culture, and the Russians.
Yes.
Literature proves this, not me.
Of course. Minister of Culture, Ines Abdeldayem, said that this year of human exchange between Egypt and Russia is one of the largest and most important events between the two countries and a rich addition to cooperation between them. She also said that this showcases the importance of soft power in building bridges of communication between peoples despite language barriers. How do you read her statements?
We were just mentioning this, briefly when we were in our, right now we were highlighting this.
Yes.
I confirm it. She is absolutely correct, and she was giving even numbers about the events. And by the way, it will start in Egypt, it will start in Cairo, and it will end in Moscow.
Yes.
So you see how things will develop. So let's hope this year long, and these events will bring as many of those who admire, who feel, who'd like to join. And I'm sure there will be a lot, especially when it comes to, let's say, literature in general, and music, and theater, and arts for sure.
Yes.
Folkloric dancing there, you know.
Yes.
Not to mention Bolshoi, I mean ballet.
Of course, of course. How would such step enable both nations to learn more about the culture of each other?
Nothing more effective when it comes to people relation than face-to-face meeting, touching meeting. Otherwise, you see the importance of tourism. Tourism, everybody can read, can see movies, read books, see photos about the pyramids and our treasures of ancient Egypt, right? But there is a hell of difference when they come and look at it and live close to it and go and touch it. As a friend of mine long ago, he was telling me, oh man, I touched some stones on the pyramid. I can't forget this. This honestly happened with me. So this means that the direct or face-to-face or the physical contact, other than the other senses, you know, to see through books, as I said, but to be here, to be there, you know, to be there is different story. And this will happen in this event.
And you just mentioned tourism, which is a very important aspect of
yes.
knowing or exploring the culture of other countries. And we have so many tourists coming, Russian tourists.
It's not a coincidence that I was about to tell you, look at what is the Russian tourism. We hope now it will be resumed to the maximum as we are anticipating.
But Egypt took an extra step, because Egypt now wants Russian tourists to come to the country not only explore the beautiful beaches, enjoy the good weather or the leisure tourism, but also to explore the culture, the history and civilization. That's why Egypt founded new museums in Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh to attract this particular type of tourists. How do you see that?
Yes, that's fantastic. In itself, regardless of the topics which you are talking about, the concept is there to have this great museum of Egyptian museums of civilizations. Unfortunately, I didn't go yet, but I was passing by it a few days ago. Marvelous, even from the outside.
I'm talking about the museums in Sharm el-Sheikh.
I know. I have seen this. I've seen this.
Yes.
I have seen this last year. Yes, it was last year.
Yeah.
It's in the main road. I've seen it. This of Sharm, I haven't seen the Hurghada. But anyway, something very important and something very, let me talk freely, I feel it, that during what we are going through, we are building our country now, getting into this tough time, but we have time to build and to have culture, to show what we are when it comes, we as human Egypt, we as Egyptian people.
What about the role of the Year of Humanitarian Exchange between Egypt and Russia in boosting the distinguished strategic bilateral cooperation in various fields, in other domains? How would that further enhance cooperation between Egypt and Russia in other domains other than the cultural one?
Out of the traditional experience of such events, people will get together. Yes, that's the most. Sometimes people get together in a certain event, you can build on it a lot of success stories, you know, a lot of new levels of cooperation. It results, it gives fantastic results. I can't sum it this way, because even if we can get just people getting to know each other more in their fields. Look, if musicians will meet musicians, cultured people, I mean people of literature will meet each other. You can imagine what.
Yes.
Translators will be there, and there are another.
I want to highlight the role of, because I'm a translator myself. So
I know. Yes.
This is very important. Now, among the activities of the year is translating many works from the Russian language to the Arabic language and vice versa. How important is that move in light of the fact that both countries possess huge and unique literatures, actually, writers, novelists, literary works. Egypt and Russia, they have a huge, rich cultural and literature heritage. And
yes.
now translation is playing a very important
Yes,
role in further enriching such heritage. How do you see that?
In general, we're talking, the main topic is translation. Translation in general from a language to another language is in itself an asset. It is in itself richness, because there always a time when we need people who understand fully the language of this people, the people of this language. And this will help. For example, with the more cooperation, now I get into economy, for example, and in industry. The more of projects in Egypt, Russian projects, especially we have this Russian zone, and they are in Sokhna, and they want to increase the area there. That's latest news, very, very, very impressive news for me as an industrialist, you know. And they want to increase their presence there. So this will be need more people. So as many as we can have of people who can talk the language, it helps. It helps. It helps.
And would you please, Engineer Waly, shed more light on the notable development witnessed in the Egyptian-Russian ties in the fields of economy and trade?
Yes.
Since you mentioned economy.
Yes. Well, this is something nobody can deny it. It didn't have a negative shock across the time. On the contrary, even the tough times, there were always, you know, the minimum of cooperation. Now it's getting a big boost, and just lately, as I told you, look at the projects which we have now with Russia, you know, which Russia is participating mainly in it, this power plant, and others, you know, we have a lot of others. Plus also the history when it comes to the, you know, the industry in its boom time during the 60s.
How can Egypt benefit from the Russian experience in education?
Well, okay, when it comes to education, we are looking for the latest systems, but because we should start where the people end. I'm not so familiar about the educational system in Russia, how developed it is, but anybody would say such people, well, we talk what's going on in the world, have the capacity to intervene through IT into very tough places in its main rival, which is the United States. Then it shows that you have a lot of big cadres and long queue of people who are capable of the latest technology in the world. That's my answer. But when it comes at large to the educational development, I'm not sure. But I'm just taking a phenomena related to the issue, shows how big they are, how developed they are.
Yes.
Not only them, they have also their counterpart, you know,
yes.
China.
Yes.
Yes.
What about your expectations for the future cooperation between Egypt and Russia in the industrial field, energy, tourism, and agriculture?
Hopeful first for tourism, because not we need it. It's something, you know, we have the assets. So I hope it be resumed, and it was there. So I hope the resumption will be soon. The full power, to the full capacity of our capacity to receive and our friends, you know, Russian tourists. On the other side, I'm very optimistic that it is going in the right way. It's going in the right way.
In the agricultural field,
in everywhere,
in
industry
industrial
also,
field.
industry also. Yes.
Okay. Sir, my final question to you, the importance of the Russian industrial zone at the Suez Canal, and also the strategic cooperation between the two countries, which came into effect last January after signing of the Agreement of Comprehensive Partnership.
Yes. There were not too many, but few very effective meetings between President Sisi and President Putin. And through this meeting, one of them was also about Africa at large, where Egypt and the President Sisi was the head. We have our time, that time of the presidency of the African Union. So, and a lot came out of it, so even follow up for this, for Africa at large. For us, you know, every time the meeting with President Sisi and even the bilateral talks over conference or whatever with the Russian diplomacy at large with the foreign ministry here is friendly.
Yes.
So it's in the right way.
Yeah.
Let's boost for more. Let's hope that we have soon our friend Russians, tourists, come back and visit Egypt without any restriction.
Yes, they have started coming
Ah,
already. Yes, and we're looking for
I'm
more.
following this. Yes.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much, Engineer Mustafa Waly, member of the Egyptian European Council.
Thank you very much
for being with us.
It's my
this morning.
pleasure always to see you and be with you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. That's all for this segment, but more is yet to come here on The Breakfast Show. Short break, and we'll be right back.